Hello and welcome, everyone. It's Dames and Dorks. It is Thursday. Thank you so much for everybody for coming in today and watching. It might look a little different because some people are having technical difficulties. Some people decided to graduate today. Some people decided to run late, but the show must go on, and none other to have this show than with my good pal, Erudi. Hi, Erudi. How are you today?
Hello. And before, I'm going to get in before the chat says it. No, I didn't scare all the women away. It just happened to be one of those days. That's all it was.
I mean, we did get a message saying that they're running late. So I think that might be the reason why most of my panel's not here.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Like I just decided to be a good friend to Erudi. It's like, no, he has some good takes. He has some good insight. And then he comes on the show and no one decides to show up.
And excuses everywhere. I had a family event today. Oh, I'm running late for a dentist appointment. Oh, technical difficulties. Weird. Very weird.
I'm sick. I can't come.
Oh, God.
But no, in real life, our girl Lily, she is graduating. She is now officially done with school and she's living her best life. So she's unable to attend today because today she is taking care of business with the cap and gown and all the frilly stuff. Dr. Rachel said she's having technical issues, so we'll give her a grace period on that. And then Mags, I don't know what her reason is, but we love her, so we'll give her that. But thanks so much for wanting to come and hang out with me or hang out with us, Rude. I really do appreciate you wanting to chill and hang out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the least I could do. You've come and hang out while I'm playing Alien at 4 a.m. in the morning a few times. So,
yeah.
Gotta return the favor and pass through.
Oh, I actually really do like it when you're playing late at night because I'm still awake finishing my work, like paperwork. And I was like, oh, Erudi's playing. Like, let me see. Like, let me just go in his chat. And then you invite me to go in the Discord. It's like, yeah, I can talk. And then 2 hours later, it's like, oh, I didn't get any work done.
Oops.
I'm like, oh, I should probably go to bed. Is that what people do?
Yeah, some people. I mean, I don't. I'm a vampire. I live forever and stay awake. So, but
Yes.
Some people sleep. Some people.
And then for those who don't know in the chat, when Erudi is playing, he's usually playing Alien Invasion. And I did this one thing. The first time I ever came through while he was playing Alien Invasion on his Discord chat, he was stuck between a rock and a hard place where he would have got caught by the alien. And I made the dumb joke of like, hey, if you close your eyes, if you don't see the alien doesn't see you. I did it as a joke. And Erudi's like, let me try it. And it worked. It worked.
So dumb. I was so mad because I had died at that part like 5 times in a row and I was getting pissed. And you're like, just cover your eyes. I was like, no, whatever. I already died 5 times. So I was just like this. And I just pushed forward on the keyboard. And then when I opened my eyes, I had passed the whole scene without dying. I was like, what the hell just happened, man? That's crazy.
Yes, it was pretty wild. And even people in your chat were like, how? Why did this happen?
How is it possible?
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm just a miracle person. I just came to hang out, and I think Erudi is a cool person. I'll just give him a little advice. You may take it or leave it. Go with your own discretion. But
I should take your advice more often.
Oh, like it may not be good, but it may not be beneficial. But who knows? Like I said, go with your own discretion. I'm going to go ahead and acknowledge the chat here. So we have our favorite moderator here, Smu the DJ, our favorite Fed. Yes, we're happy to have him here. We got Warlock, represent Warlock. He's a real one too, and yeah, he was watching me play Bendy and the Ink Machine the other night, and I had the worst technical difficulties as well, and I still haven't figured it out, but we're getting our way. I'm getting my way better and streaming. And we got Mando Unchained. Thank you so much, Mando. And then Xbox Kevin or Xboys Kevin. I don't think I've seen you before, but thank you so much for coming through.
He's about to be so mad. He's about to be so mad. I accidentally, because I'm illiterate apparently, I called him Xbox like 4 times in a row. And so now they make fun of me all the time. He's like, really? You can't read my name? And now you just did it. So it's not just me. It's not just me.
It's not just Erudi. It is me because I do have dyslexia. So, yes. So that's on you, X-Boys. And then I think I saw someone here called Prince Sam, late and gay. So Erudi's not only scared them off, he's scared of them gay too.
Who invited her here, honestly?
It is an open invite for hanging out in the chat, so anyone can say anything as they like. And speaking of open invite and coming whenever they need to, we got Dr. Rachel Lindberg. Hey, how are you?
Hey. Oh, I'm good. It's been a hell of a week.
I'm with you on that.
Mm-hmm.
I can totally relate to you. And then we have technical issues. We got Erudi on the panel. Man, what is our week, right?
Did you just list that like it was a problem? Wow.
Well, I'm not calling you for dinner.
Oh my god.
And then I don't know what warlock means on this. Like, you take that back, Nomi. Well, first of all, I may have dyslexia, but I know how to spell warlock. We got Yarn Witch in the chat, and we were just happy to have everyone hanging out here. And then you've tried. An attempt was made, X-Boys. An attempt was made. That's all I can say. Before we continue, I will just go ahead and say at the last 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes of this show, I'm going to put in the chat last call. Ask any questions to the panelists. It can be on the topics that we were talking about, a discussion, or anything in general, but just keep it PG. That's all we ask about before we continue on. And I have one more person. Hello, Health. Man, see, my dyslexia. Heath Nation.
Hey, Heath.
Like I said, I do my best to attempt myself as well to get myself better, but nonetheless. But Dr. Rachel, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Besides, having a heck of a week, what else is going on?
Not that much. Just been busy. Came back from vacation this past weekend, and that was insane. But it's honestly, it's nice to be back home.
Yes.
I won't go into details, but all I can say is, fuck you, North Dakota.
Dang.
Wow,
okay.
that's some harsh words for North Dakota.
Yep.
No need to be
Harsh
aggressive, but
words,
okay.
Yep. I will
it's all
be
right.
as aggressive as I want to.
I've been there a few times. I'm not exactly disagreeing with you.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not wrong, but we're
Gotcha.
just like, okay, you go, girl. Like, we'll leave it at that. But as long as we're waiting for Mags, who late is the new early, but it's okay. Well, like I said earlier, we're just gonna give her some grace. You know what? One thing that's kind of like we're not super stoked on, but they did it anyway. We're gonna be talking about the new Helldivers controversy that just came up about this. Erudi, I know you're a gamer. What's your take on all of this here?
All right, to be clear, is there a new one beyond what was already going on? Okay, no, okay, it's this one. Yeah, so I have a little bit more of a nuanced take than I think some do. Obviously, Sony can go screw themselves. I mean, when you try to force this kind of thing on people and lock them into terms they didn't agree to, you're always going to get backlash. A lot of people kind of pointed their targets on Arrowhead a little bit too, and I think that was a little less fair. People, I think, tend to forget Arrowhead is not Activision. All right, they're a relatively small gaming company compared to most. They don't have the same like financial power or legal power that you would see from a bigger group. So when Sony says, do this or we're going to cut you off, they only got really two choices, right? They can either do what Sony says and make this tie to their network or whatever, or they can get rid of the cross-platform gaming. And either one was going to piss people off, right? It was like, which group do we want to piss off? So I kind of feel for Arrowhead in that sense. I don't think they had a lot of good options available to them. And I do think it was awesome that the president of the lead developer came out and was like, hey, listen, you guys should vote with your wallet. And if that means leaving reviews or whatever, do it. And, it's a rare thing that we see us all band together and the result ends up being what it was with the victory.
Yeah, no, it is what it was. Like, I came late to the game when the news broke out, like, oh yeah, we decided to reverse on what we stated earlier. But not only that, the internet is forever, guys, because the official Helldivers Twitter account made this statement when they first announced that they're only going to make it a PlayStation exclusive game. This tweet has now been deleted, but like I said, internet is forever, and I take screenshots. This came about, and you cannot find this anywhere else. So I thought that it's a little cowardice of them to do what they did, release this, and like, oh, let's go ahead and erase what we said because, we made a mistake.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. It doesn't make a lot of sense, actually, because they're getting good press for reversing. This is kind of like what happened with the Sonic movies, right?
Yeah.
They released that trailer, they got ridiculed to hell and back, and instead of shitting on the fans and saying, you're a bunch of misogynists or bigots or racists or hedgehogists, whatever you want to call us. Instead of shitting on the fans, they fixed it. They redid it and made the fans happy. They didn't go back and delete all their other announcements. They owned it. They said, we heard you and we fixed it. And now that's one of the better, money-making franchises that's come out in the theaters in recent history in terms of budget versus what they actually made. And so same thing here. They should have just owned it. Hey, we heard you. And yeah, we said that before, but we stood by you at the end and own it. I think that benefits them in the long run. So it's weird that they would delete that.
Yeah, it is weird that they would delete that. And then what I appreciate most about this is that they actually listened to us, because it was less than a month ago that I had just bought this game and they came out with this nonsense. I was like, well, I want a refund. And then they came out with another thing like, oh, if you have less than 2 hours of gameplay, you can get your refund. I thought that was nonsense. And that's when I went into a rage in my mind. Like, they can't do this. And then it was Steam that came out like, okay, 97 hours? If it's less than 97 hours, you can get the refund. I was holding on. I was like, no, I'm going to have faith that my voice would be heard and they will reverse it. And lo and behold, here we are today. And that Sony bent to the knees of the fans. And it's not like that we bullied them like how it was with Sonic. When the first Sonic the Hedgehog reveal came out, yeah, that was actual crappy take on designing a character I grew up watching and playing. And this too, look, you have a good fan base here, not only on PlayStation, but on the PC players as well, because I play on PC. Why would you take this away? Why would you want to piss off the people who are actually giving you the money of a product that you made that's pretty successful? Why would you come that in your mind? So that's something that I kind of take pride in, that I didn't bully necessarily, but at least I raised my voice in that. So I think we need more of that in today's culture, in Hollywood, in entertainment. That let me see if I can find that link. I should have got it earlier, but that Bob Iger recently came out stating that, oh, we're going to continue making sequels of original Disney animations out there because people already know the characters and they're familiar with it. Well, why? Why would you want to not create more things? If that makes sense, if that's a good segue from Helldivers and connecting it with Disney, what they're trying to do.
No, that makes sense. That definitely makes sense. Sorry, I'm pulling this. Oh, I'm sorry, reading this. In no way did I ask Amazon to make. Yeah.
Yes, that is also very true.
All right, this was Bob Iger. Oh, and that's not the only thing. Also, by the way, I mean, I don't know if you saw the other thing that they just announced from Disney regarding Tinkerbell. Are we talking about that?
Yes. Speaking of Tinkerbell, we have our real life Tinkerbell that just showed up. Welcome, Sevvy.
Oh, dear God.
Our resident panelist.
There she is.
Wow.
Oh, you're mute, muted. Honey. You're mute.
Oops, there you go. Hello, how are you guys doing?
Good. We just got started talking about Helldivers and Tinkerbell and how you bright up our world, Sevvy.
Oh, not like you guys. Not like you guys. Except the Fed. We don't need the Fed.
No,
but you guys are wonderful.
Wow. I'll have you know, I was the only loyal person to Nomi who showed up on time. Okay, so
that's also very true.
I can be counted on. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, because you sabotaged all our stuff.
That's what he did.
None of the rest of us would get here.
Mm-hmm.
I plead the fifth.
Wow.
On that statement.
Okay, so Erudi, the link that you sent me in the private chat, a message just popped up saying this site has been reported as unsafe. Microsoft recommends you don't continue to this site. It has been reported to Microsoft for continuing misleading content that could lead you to lose personal information. Well, that's actually very true. I thought it was more of like censoring, like, are they really hiding the information of people? Like what we want to know? So, okay. So
me? All I said was a gilded link.
Gilded is sus. Gilded is sus.
So, okay, it's more of a data breach versus like censorship. Okay, I don't care about. Oh, well, it didn't work because it just sent me to a home screen of Microsoft. So it's okay. I guess we'll just go on your word, Erudi, on what you just sent me. But go ahead and describe what was it that you're trying to show us, because it's not allowing me to open that link up.
I gotta say, I think you. So Smu just sent something. I don't know if that was what you're referring to, or because I sent something earlier, but that was a while ago.
Here we go. This is what. See, at least Smu is a real one and doesn't send me like malice websites.
It wasn't me. It was Smu.
I can testify to the fact that I see the chat and Erudi sent suspicious ad for Craigslist.
Oh my God. You are a bunch of liars and
Speaking of suspiciousness, guess who just showed up? We got Magitek Mags.
Imposter!
Thank you so much for joining us, Mags. Better late than never, but we love you anyway.
Hey, there's always fashionably late, so there you go.
late is the new early.
Yes, it is.
And then also because we made the funny joke that like Erudi gets on the panel, he gets on the show, he scares all the girls away.
I swear to God, man.
Yeah, but look, he's surrounded by women tonight, so
I
mean,
maybe the luckiest man on YouTube right now. I think that's probably true.
Go Erudi.
He's a Fed, guys. That's why he's attracting all the ladies.
Oh, okay.
It's the suit. It's the suit.
It's a suit.
Oh, hold on. We got a question from Erudi's mom. Erudi's mom. Put it in the chat. Let us know what you think, girl. We're here.
It's not my mom. I just want to be very clear. That's somebody with what is it called? Erotomania. Whenever you think you have a relationship with a personality who doesn't even know you. I don't know who that woman is.
Oh, so basically a fan.
Yes. Did I choose the right word, Dr. Lindbergh?
Something like that. But Mags, you kind of caught us on a way where we're just segueing out of our way of Helldivers. We talked about it briefly, but we can totally circle back. But we brought up the topic that buyout. Yeah, I can speak, I swear. But that Bob Iger says Disney is leaning more into sequels, franchises, and it's actually a smart thing. I think that's a terrible thing.
I mean, with your track record, Bob.
Yes.
I don't believe you. Like, the thing is, though, a lot of people were gleaning on this because I was listening to the earnings call and he said something about IP mining. And I'm like, Bob, you said the quiet part out loud. You said the quiet part out loud. And it was just incredible. And so, yeah, IP mining. And it's like, so he's leaning more into this in sequels. Well, to be quite honest, I don't know about y'all, but I am kind of done with reimaginings, remakes, sequels, all that stuff. Please, let's start creative again. Make creativity great again. But it's, franchise is actually a smart thing. Bob, you have all of these franchises and you're ruining them. So what are you talking about? You're like, you're definitely putting on your weatherman look because you're pretty much like, just throwing things on the wall and seeing what sticks. So
I believe Chrysanth on this one. I was going to say, like, he must have took a massive chug of Grandpa's cough medicine before talking about that on that earnings call, because that was bold as heck for him to say that quiet part out loud.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, no, maybe he's not exactly wrong. Maybe it is a smart thing, right? He sends in these guys through this IP mining. They mine until there's nothing left, and the entire mine collapses on the people that created it, and then he doesn't have to pay them. So maybe it's a smart thing for him long term, because basically they just bury franchises.
It's like lithium. It's like lithium. I am lithium battery mining. You know, you just keep taking a chunk out of the earth.
Just keep taking.
Just keep taking. Yes, exactly.
Because somehow like people will like it, and then we won't have any earth to go on. So which is like what Disney's doing. We don't have any more actual stuff, entertainment to give, original stuff to give to people because we don't know what we're doing.
And it's not like it's not like we're not friendly towards sequels before, because I mean, if you look at it this way, there's I mean, technically Lord of the Rings movies are sequels to one another, even though they follow each other. However, I think we're just getting tired of the fact that they're just pumping this stuff out like a conveyor belt. It's not even good quality content either. So people are just, people talk about superhero fatigue. I don't believe in that. I believe in the fact that it's bad movie fatigue. People are just tired of it, and they're also tired of being preached to. So it's kind of like, what is he talking about here? It's like he's throwing things up on the wall to save face. But even on the earnings call, when people were asking him questions, he was clearly flustered. So it's just, and of course, the Disney stock market kind of went downhill after that. So it's kind of ironic.
Yeah. The real problem is look, sequels aren't bad. We had a whole sequel era, right? When I grew up, sequels were a big deal, but they put effort into the sequels to make them appease the fans, to have good writers, to make it respect what came before it. They revered their own work and they wanted to outdo themselves. That's not the case anymore. Everything they make is soulless. It's made by committee and vote, and it has to go for DEI regulations. There's several creators out there who've got inside sources and stuff who basically have uncovered the fact that the way they even make these shows and movies now, they don't make a cohesive script and then go film that thing. They make a bunch of patchwork ideas. They call it patchwork filming. And it's like they've got like 70 different scenes and they cobble them together to make a movie out of it. Who knows what the plot will be at the end? They go focus film test it. And then when they're done, if it's not the rating they want, they just go swap out some scenes and make the plot different again. But because it was never designed to be cohesive in the first place, it feels soulless. And that's why it's terrible. Nobody wants to see it. They've ran out of the energy to go watch these movies that when they leave, they don't feel happy. They don't feel excited. They don't feel passionate because the movie had no soul to begin with.
And not only that, but it's you can clearly tell it's made patchwork wise, because you always hear reports, oh, this movie has to do reshoots a million times in post-production. And it's kind of like, and they're spending all of this budget money. I mean, I just saw a post about another movie coming out. I forget what it was, but like $300 million with the budget. And I'm thinking to myself, Hollywood is broke. Everybody is broke. Everyone's hemorrhaging money. Why are you doing this? Why don't we go back to basics, please? But yeah.
Well, not only that, like what you just said, Mags, like there's another movie that just got announced. And this one, I want to be optimistic about it, but I can't, considering that we are living in a day of age of like, oh, let's just write on what we have already. That's what's going on right now. And it's this here that Warner Brothers to release new Lord of the Rings movie, The Hunt for Gollum.
What?
Yes.
Oh my God! Why?
Are we getting the Golem game where does he agree with himself?
Yes, yes. And Dr. Rachel, I know. I have a panelist full of Lord of the Rings lore lovers here. Dr. Rachel, what's your take on this?
God, I have so many mixed feelings. I was just trying to read up on this news today because I think I saw this in a tweet like early in the morning. And then just looking through and just saying, I think it's, Peter Jackson producing it. Andy Serkis is starring and directing in it. I'm just like, it's one of those, like, part of me thinks, why? Like, why do we need to keep going? This feels just like what Bob Iger was talking about, like running a franchise into the ground. We don't need more Lord of the Rings stuff, especially after what they've done with Rings of Power. It's one of those things of I have zero hope for it. Yes, I like Peter Jackson. Yes, I like Andy Serkis, but I don't see this being great, like to the level of Lord of the Rings as it was. At the same time, I want to hope for this. I want it to be something that we can be proud of. I want like the last vestiges of Lord of the Rings in film to be something good and not Rings of Power.
Yes.
So
Because
I want it to be good, but I don't have much hope.
And I'm with you on that. That's why I'm like, I'm optimistic about it. Like, I'm not going to hate it just yet, but I want to see who is behind the curtains of it, who is pulling the levers, who is pulling, you know, all the tricks and everything. Is it Peter Jackson that's going to lead it? But it looks like it is that he's going to be producing it. But that's what Amazon was trying to do in the first place. Like, they were just trying to get his name to do Rings of Power, but not really have him control anything. They just wanted his name.
Yeah, it's also the question of, will he stay on?
Yes.
Like, is he just going to be a name and then suddenly he leaves and Amazon or Netflix or whoever takes over?
And not only that, but the reason why the Hobbit movies came out to be so bad is because there was a lot of interference from the studio. Because that was not what Peter Jackson intended. Now he does take a lot of blame, and I understand that, but sometimes the studio tends to kind of try to cash in on that money because of the Lord of the Rings movies, and I think that's what happened with that. But I think I also read early, that his two original writers that's been part of his team as far as with the Lord of the Rings is concerned, is also part of this project. So yeah, the connections seem great, but at the same time, in this day and age, are we going to have another Hobbit series, or is it going to be far worse, where everything is current era, modern, speak, so to speak, in terms of agenda, preachiness, or what have you? Because I don't know what else is to be said as far as the story of Gollum. I mean, we already had the video game that came out, which was a complete and utter disaster, but it created great laughs and content from watching, other people play it. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know, this is not a good way to approach it, because on the cusp of that, so you're like, that game failed, and so now they're coming out with this movie. I don't know. It's just not really a good start, in my opinion. I mean, I have hope too because of the connections, but at the same time, I don't know. I am, as they say, cautiously optimistic.
So my take on this might be a little bit more nuanced. I think this could actually be good, and my reasons for that are Peter Jackson vehemently turned down and opposed signing on to Rings of Power because he didn't like what they were doing. He is a Lord of the Rings fan. He turned that down specifically because it sucked, and he didn't like the things they were doing with it, and the direction they were taking it, and the politics they were interjecting into it. And he, of course, had some lessons learned from the Hobbit series. So the fact that he is choosing to sign on to this makes me think he had to at least have seen something that he's willing to put his name behind, and not want to sully it, again, after the Hobbit fiasco, or take it down the path of Rings of Power. So the fact that he's even putting his name on it kind of makes me think this might be okay. And then the other reason I think this might be okay, you'll notice that this is projected for 2026, and I've kind of noticed the more recent projects that have been announced, or even some that have come out, I think we're starting to see this ship turn around a little bit, where they are starting to say phrases like, we want to respect the fans. Like, those are things they weren't saying in their press releases before. And this is true of like video games and stuff too. So if this is riding that wave, if it is kind of gearing towards the, hey, we shot ourselves in the foot and destroyed our industry, and that DEI money has dried up, we're not getting any more of that. Let's fix this before, the independents take over and we're done for. This could actually be good. So I don't know. I'm a little probably more hopeful than some, but still, time will tell. When we see the first like trailers and shots and movies and stuff, we'll probably know more.
My only question is, obviously this looks like it's going to come into fruition. If they're going to do it back in New Zealand, because I really want to see like the grandscape of things, of the realism of, oh my gosh, I'm trying to say the landscape of New Zealand, how they did it in Lord of the Rings too. I know Andy Serkis killed it, and I know they used CGI. I just don't want it to become the Hobbits like trilogy where it was only based on CGI and a little bit of here and there of New Zealand. So that's the only thing that I do want to say. And like what you said earlier, Erudi, like we want to respect the fans. Okay, then just follow the lore. That's all we ask. But there, Mags, correct me if I'm wrong, and Dr. Rachel too. There's not a book based on Gollum. Are they just going to go on their imaginative thinking here, or what they gathered from the previous books?
Go ahead, Rachel.
Oh gosh. I'm not a lore expert. No, there aren't books on Gollum, but I do believe there are some writings just on his life as as Smeagol was transforming into Gollum. But I don't know how much of that there is.
Mm-hmm.
And well, at least with what Warner Brothers has, put this in perspective. They have most of the. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat, but I think if I recall, they have most of the lore or the copyright on the lore as far as the Lord of the Rings story, whereas Amazon has like a very small amount to work with in terms of in the appendices. I think, of course, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like, versus Rings of Power, Amazon versus Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers clearly wins in the department of what they could utilize from the story themselves. However, I would much rather go, I'd much rather do a different movie other than about Gollum, because Gollum is an interesting character, but I think we've had enough after the Gollum game, and I think we need to explore other avenues. And I don't know. Of course we have the War of the Rohirrim, that animated film coming out in December. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what this is all meaning of. Is this like this sounds more like a prequel? I don't know if it's part of the within the Lord of the Rings movie timeline. I don't know. So I could be completely wrong on where the timeline is, but it's, they clearly have the material for it, the source material for it, but I don't know. I wish they would just choose something else. Gollum is interesting, but we already have had The Hobbit. We've already had Lord of the Rings. We've already had the Gollum game, arguing with himself. Yeah. And it's like, I don't know. I think we need to pick something else. But, if I will admit if I'm wrong, if they do a good job. So.
Well, the way I see it too, I don't want this to become a cash cow, like how Disney's kind of living their life right now. Like, oh, everybody knows who Gollum is. Yeah, we see the memes of like people like either portraying themselves as Gollum or just the silly videos that come out of it. I just don't want the studios to think like, hey, if it's trendy with the kids, we can make money off of it. That's where I'm coming in viewing in all of this. I don't know if you guys agree with me on that.
See, I'm still kind of leaning on Peter Jackson a little bit here because he is a director that comes from an era where they took pride in their work. All right. So I feel like, especially after The Hobbit didn't do that great, he wouldn't come sign back on to something that's going to smear his name more.
That's a good point.
That's what I feel like. And so I feel like if he's signing on to this, he would not have done so. Obviously, again, he turned down Rings of Power, which was an Amazon cash grab to use the IP. And he did so because it didn't respect the lore. He looked at that and said, no, that's nothing like I would ever put my name on. So the fact that he is willing to put his name on this makes me think either he's got some direct involvement and it does respect the lore or something. But I don't know. He doesn't seem like he would be a sellout as opposed to some directors.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely agree with that. That's a fair point in terms of he's already had a bad situation with The Hobbit. Why would he sign back if he didn't have a little bit more firm hold on the story itself? So yeah, I can believe that.
As long as he retains that firm hold on it and doesn't, get booted out or politics takes over. Because, said in 2026, a lot can happen in 2 years' time.
Yep.
Yeah,
so
and I'm probably,
I hope he stays on.
I'm more worried about, if I'm worried about anything, I feel like he would not, if there was, he didn't have a firm contract, something to really lock him in. I doubt he would have done it. I'm more worried about the fact that he's going to do this. You'll notice the wording of the article says it's the release of a new batch of movies.
Yes, a trilogy.
So if his is good, and they use that as a gateway to a bunch of shit, that seems like something I could definitely see happening.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then Smu did bring this up. Peter Jackson also made Mortal Engines. And
every director has their weak points.
That's also very true. But well, going on to like him wanting not to smear his name, like we can talk about this all we want, but like he also goes on to say, like, speaking out about Rings of Power. And like, I remember this article a while back too, where he asks here on this little paragraph here, he's like, so have you got the scripts yet? Because I know how hard scripts were to write for the films. I don't want people writing their scripts. And they said, oh, we haven't got the scripts yet, but as soon as we do, we'll send you the script. So I was waiting for the scripts to arrive and they never did. So it could also be like these studios, well, obviously we saw from Amazon, they don't know what the heck they're doing. And he just at least gave like, hey, like I can help out a little bit because I'm an expert on this. I read the books.
Yeah, well, I mean, they fired their lore experts. I mean, that tells you how much they cared about that.
Well, yeah, the original crew that they had, they got rid of. So,
and not only that, didn't they report as well? Like they spent 1 million or 1 billion for each episode, and
no, 1 billion for season 1.
Shit ton of money. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, like
Yep.
I don't even see it in the wardrobe. It looked like just print screens. Yeah, print screens on shirts. That's what it was.
Oh my god, some of the chainmail t-shirt look. Oh my god.
Yep.
That just drives me crazy. I'm sorry.
Sevvy, did you have something to say? I thought I heard you saying something.
Sorry. I'm dying. It's like super hot and it's just like insane. So I'm dying and like chomping on ice. So I'm muted.
I was about to say she's eating her ice. I knew it.
Yeah.
I knew it.
Yeah, I went out to go get some ice and then turn on the AC because it's like I'm just dying over here. But I was just saying, wow, like they wasted so much money in like what exactly? Where did all that money go?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't just wait. They pre-wasted money. They pre-wasted money. Because they ordered 5 seasons of this, and they're contractually obligated to finish it out. So
God.
even though
they can't cancel
they still have to finish.
Oh my god!
You know what? They did this to themselves.
God.
Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
That's so stupid. And are they bound in a contract to do like them in a row within a specific amount of time?
I don't know about the time. I just know that they are committed to having to do all the seasons. The actors are all signed on. Like they have ironclad contracts with all the people involved, so they can't back out of it. They got to see it through.
Nothing is.
Those poor actors. Those poor actors. They will never recover from this. Get out while they still can. Because didn't the guy who signed on to be like DEI Sauron, he backed out?
He actually,
I don't even
know.
I think he did. I could be wrong, but I think I read something saying
to find that.
Yep.
Nothing is ever ironclad in the contract. Let me tell you.
He probably had to buy himself. I don't know how contracts work, but he probably had to do like if he was going to leave, you have to pay a certain amount to leave or something.
Yeah, you have to pay like a penalty. There's usually something in there about giving you a very specific reason of why you can leave, and usually it's a buyout. But by that point, though, I think I would rather just pay it and then just run.
Well, I think one of the issues was, I'm trying to remember, but I think it has something to do with keeping the rights, too. To keep the rights to those appendices, they had to do the 5 seasons. And I don't know if they would even care about that, if they ended up losing their investment or not, but I'm pretty sure that was a part of it. That was a factor as well.
Yeah. And then, here's the link where he was cast as the original Sauron, and I didn't get a chance to read it. I was just like, oh, like, well, here it is. Ultimately, the smooth-talking human company to Galadriel, Halbrand, played by Charlie Vickers, was revealed to be Sauron. The series had Halbrand give his influence, but no evil influence, sure, to, oh my gosh, Celebrimor? Is that-
Celebrimbor.
Okay. I was like, is that even a real character? But Mag said it with, no issue. So, but it's just going on to like saying that. But I should have read it, but I don't see any right. Oh, here we are. According to the report, South Asian actor Gavi Singh Sierra is set to play the original Sauron before he becomes Halbrand, as Tolkien books have long described as a master of shape-shifting. It would make sense that he would be another version of the rings, but okay, but it's just a little teaser, I guess, or just like clickbait. But I think he did quit because I don't see his name being promoted anymore into Rings of Power.
Yeah, nobody cares, but it's it's Adar. It's the guy who played Adar from season 1. He left.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay, gotcha.
Good for him. Get out while you can.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I mean,
Even if you
It's-
have to pay up front, do it.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. It's not worth killing your career over this.
no,
Mhm.
it's not. And I mean, can you imagine? Like, that's the thing that some of these actors don't even understand is that this is going to be tied to you forever. So,
Well, that's what happened to Robert Pattinson when he played Edward Cullen in Twilight.
Mhm.
Crap books, crap movies. He played Edward Cullen, and he had to work. Work his butt off to get away from that.
Yeah,
And
I understand.
and I think he's doing great as the Batman. He did great in Tenet. So he was known. He's always going to be forever known as Edward Cullen.
Yep.
The worst
Did you guys-
franchise ever out there.
Did
But
you
yes,
guys see the Robert Pattinson, the 9/11 movie?
what?
no.
Remember Me. Oh my god, that movie was, I would say it was good. I was really surprised about it. It's called Remember Me.
Yes,
But
I do remember that.
2010.
Yes, that came out a few years. Yeah, like
That was
14 years
pretty
ago.
good. Yeah.
I'll have to watch it. But yeah, like there was another movie that he was in that I was not a huge fan of, but because I just kind of I've always avoided it because like, oh, that's Edward Cullen. I didn't like him. He wasn't a good actor in Twilight. So what makes me what's going to convince me to go see it because, he got this role, but actually like giving him a chance and seeing him redeem himself, like, all right, he's actually a decent actor. So, but yes, like what Rings of Power is trying to do with this of like, hey guys, yeah, it's Lord of the Rings. They have a huge fan base following. You should totally do it. And your name will be in lights. But at what cost? The cost of your acting career, being known in a series that didn't do well. So, take what you can get or, don't get on the boat knowing what's going to be your future in your career that you're going forward. And then we got Dreaming Tabitha giving the sass here.
Yeah, I was just responding to her.
Of course, Tabitha, always.
Wow.
Wow.
Just wow.
But it's okay. It wouldn't be a stream without bashing your Erudi.
I suppose it would not.
Because we got Sevvy here to help us out with that one. But yeah, 100% these actors are going to have to work hard and get lucky by getting taken seriously again. And that's what
it's not exclusive to bad movies either. I mean, Hayden Christensen, blame it on the directing, right? For Star Wars movies, didn't give the best performance, but that's because he was directed to act that way, and he struggled after that. It took a while for people to accept him again. And if you watch him in other movies, he's actually a really good actor. He's got a solid set of acting chops on him, but people just kind of discounted him because of his wooden performance in the Star Wars movies. So,
And that's also very true. How much has Disney Ridley worked after her Star Wars trilogy? I haven't seen her after that,
none.
to be honest.
She
No,
she tried to get. She was in a movie. I think it was with Tom Holland or something, where it was like some apocalyptic planet or something like that. Apparently, it bombed. I think chat, you can probably correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it bombed at the box office or something. So it's she's really not had any good luck in terms of trying to move on from Star Wars. And of course, she clearly, in her interviews before trying to move on, she seemed to be ready to move on from Star Wars. And of course, she's now come back crawling to Star Wars. So it's like, she doesn't have anything else. That might be a different story in the case that she's really probably, I've never seen her whole body of work, but her acting in Star Wars was atrocious. So that's all I can really judge it by. But at the same time, it's like some other actors, like we were discussing even last week, where some projects and some IPs are tied to actors. And is that a detriment to the actor themselves? And clearly it can be. I mean, look at Hayden Christensen and other actors, like even some of the actors in terms of in Harry Potter series too. So it's kind of like you can't get away from it, and you can also, but you can, especially if you do a good. It's like if it flops, you can't get away from it. If it does a good job, you still can't get away from it. So it's like you can't move on.
Mm-hmm. And then here we go with Shay. The movie that she did with Tom Holland sat on a shelf for a few years until it finally got released. Well, wouldn't that be speaking volumes? Like, they don't think this is going to be good. But yes.
It still wasn't good regardless. So it bombed.
Mm-hmm. And was that the movie, what it was called, Chaos Walking? Mags?
I'm not. I don't know. I just remember. I think she starred with Tom Holland in some sort of movie. It might have been that. Smu, is that correct? Because I didn't. I'm. It's hard to look it up in the background because. Yep. He said Chaos Walking.
It is Chaos Walking. Okay.
Yep.
And the thing about like Tom Holland, like he's a young actor, but he's worked hard to get where he's at right now. Like, yes, he's been in like bummer of movies, but what he's done is like dust himself up and keep moving forward versus Daisy Ridley. Oh yeah, like I'm gonna go on Star Wars because that's the only way I can be recognized and be known. Well,
I mean, yeah, not a lot of big name titles after that for her. I'm looking at her IMDb history, and it's kind of lacking. A lot of shorts, not even real movies. Some narrations with her voice, and then a video game appearance, a podcast series, and 2 movies. It's not exactly booming, and I don't see anything prior to Star Wars. So I might be wrong, but I feel like I remember reading somewhere that she was a theater actor even before she jumped into movies. So maybe she can find her place back there. I don't know.
Yeah. And then what Jamie Tabitha said here is like she did a good job as Rey. Rey had a lot of potential as a character. It's just Disney ruined her shot. And I agree with that. I don't think she's a terrible actress. The one that I will say like is a terrible actress, but I like who she is as a person is Dakota, oh my gosh, Johnson, where she comes out in the 50 Shades of Grey series. Terrible actress, god awful actress, but I like her as a person. But as far as like we're talking about Star Wars, the actress who played Rose Tico, I think she's a good actor. I thought she did good. I just don't understand why. Like, I understand why she was hated in Star Wars. I think she just had a bad script, bad direction, and just a bad shot where it did ruin her, where people hated her. So it really does depend on like what studio, the director, and the team that you're going to be working with.
And again, it goes back to the whole philosophy that Disney's embraced, this patchwork filmmaking. They had no plan for the trilogy. They had no plan for the sequel trilogy. J.J. Abrams wrote up a treatment to follow up what he set up in The Force Awakens, and then Rian Johnson looked at it, threw it in the trash, and wrote his own thing. He discarded all those plot lines. The whole Rose Tico thing flew in the face of what they set up in The Force Awakens, where Finn and Rey looked like they were going to be a thing. So it's just like that. The reason it didn't make sense, the reason they didn't like Rose Tico is because it had no soul. There was no reason for that to exist. It paid off nothing from the movie before. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah. And then, yeah, Rose Tico is another character that really wasn't bad. It's just Disney ruined her. They don't seem to think their characters through, like Finn.
Finn is another one. Huge waste.
Yeah, huge waste. Like, these actors have, like, killed themselves to get where they're at right now, to get that role in Star Wars or to get something else. And then for them to have Disney like, hey, we'll give you the shot. And then after it's been a bomb of a film, you're never heard of again because people didn't like you. Because you were made to not be liked, or they just didn't care about you in the beginning.
So this is a lesson to all aspiring actors and actresses. Maybe don't sign up with Disney right away.
It does seem to be a thing.
That does seem to be a thing. That does make a lot of sense. I'm drawing a blank now. I was going to say something, but well, now that we're on this topic of Star Wars, we got this coming up here pretty soon. Here we are, which is the Phantom Menace is still a box office force making that it did release in theaters again. And they made $14.5 million globally. So this is before Disney too. Yes.
The movie's already made. They paid off that budget a long time ago. So that's just money in their pockets.
Yeah, it's just chump change now, which is like, yeah, what you said, money in their pockets. So, but this is pre-Disney as well, where like George Lucas still had his hand on it, where he still had his creativity in it here and there. Yes, no one really didn't like Jar Jar Binks, but he's still like a staple character where we still hate him, but we'll hate watch. Well, I wouldn't say hate watch it, but we'll watch it. But we kind of grown to like him because he's just there when we didn't want him there. Yes, you love to hate him.
I love to hate him.
He wasn't nearly as offensive as the stuff that's out today, for sure. Looking back on it, it's aged well by comparison. And this is they're not taking good lessons from the things that they're seeing statistically, because this is like the third movie they've reintroduced to theaters that made this kind of money and blew out everything else that was in the box office that's new. That's insane. That's insane that it's topping the box office. And this movie came out well over a decade ago, right?
Yes.
This movie is
25 years
movies
old.
From back 25 years old. Yeah. So movies from back then just dominating the box office for movies that are out now, that should be telling them something. It's like I don't know, man. It's like they are willfully ignorant about the facts.
Well, and the thing is, they can't help themselves but put this stuff out there because they know this makes money. But it also, they don't have anything else. That's the kicker. And it's like, I for one, okay, I know a lot of people will give The Phantom Menace some hate, but I actually enjoyed this movie more so than the others. I know it's gonna cause, an uproar on that one. I love this. Like, I think definitely the prequel movies have a lot of flaws, but I thoroughly enjoyed The Phantom Menace.
Phantom Menace is really good. I enjoyed it.
It is really good. I agree with Tabitha. I didn't mind Jar Jar so much, but that's because when it came out, I was like a kid. So it wasn't like, it wasn't something that was, it didn't seem childish to me because I was a child. So it's like, there it is.
I was 10. So I was 10 when it came out. So yeah, like I liked Jar Jar, but even as a kid, it's like, yeah, he's kind of annoying. But I'm like, I it's not bothering me versus like the adults, like my older cousins who actually went to go see the original Star Wars in theaters. They're like, no, Jar Jar was like a total like worthless character. We hated it. It's like, oh well, me, a 10-year-old me, I actually like Jar Jar. But yeah, he is kind of annoying. So, but yes, continue, Mags. Didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's just the thing is, Disney keeps missing the point of why these movies are still popular. They don't age. They just they're forever sealed in terms of a cult, not just a cult classic, but beyond imagination type of situation. It created Star Wars in general, like the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy, created generations of fans, whereas Disney is missing the mark on how to be able to do something like that. They're again mining what came before to glean from it, and then they don't even learn the lesson as to why this is still beloved today. So it's a problem. It is a problem. Like, it's a good thing. I'm glad that the movie got the money it deserves, because I hope you would hope, because you would try to hope that they learn this lesson, but I highly doubt it. And I'm sure people didn't show up for the Acolyte trailer. They showed up for the Phantom Menace. So
Yes.
Yeah,
Dr.
they're not-
Oh, go ahead,
Okay.
Rudai. I'm sorry.
I'll say they're not going to learn their lesson. They're not.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to still probably release this Rey Skywalker movie, and when it flops, they're inevitably going to blame men. Even though men and women both showed up for this Star Wars movie in droves, a movie that released 25 years ago and has a lead female protagonist in it throughout the entire trilogy. Even though we showed up for this and clearly made it a shit ton of money this weekend, they're still going to blame the failure of this upcoming Rey movie on men, misogyny, racist, you name it. So will they learn the lesson? Probably not, but they should. They should be taking note of this and being like, it's this easy to make money. All we have to do is respect the fans a little bit. That's it.
Do you think like Disney could just probably like see what Sony did and like, oh dang, they listened to the fans and they released back Helldivers and they're getting more money again? Man, well, we're gonna continue like doing our own thing, but that's only one can think and hope for. Dr. Rachel, Sevvy, did you have anything to weigh on all this?
No, I mean, I think you guys pretty much have it accurate. I mean, it's just they don't make good movies anymore. The stuff they make is mass produced. It's like basically going to a factory and then just hitting a button and assuming that people are going to be stupid enough to go to the movie theaters to just pay for crap. I think that's what's going on.
I very much agree with you, Sevvy, and with everything everyone else has said. Like they should learn this lesson. Like they should look at these, theatrical re-releases and seeing how much money they're making above all these new releases and be like, oh yeah, that's what we should do. We should just listen to the fans. This is what they want. We need to do this. They're not going to take that lesson. I wish they would, but I don't think they are. At least they're not in, Hollywood is not in the mental headspace to take that advice just yet. Maybe someday, but they got to keep doing stuff like this. They got to keep doing these re-releases until Hollywood learns.
I think some studios are turning the ship around, but Disney's way too slow. They will be way behind the curve on that.
Yep. The bigger studios, it's going to take them more time. But I do agree with you, Erudi. Can't believe I'm saying I agree with the Fed. But I do. But yeah, I do. Like the smaller studios, they are learning.
But my opinion isn't so bad, okay?
But like, if you think about it, guys, like, look what Paramount Pictures did when they got roasted to hell about Sonic, how he originally came out, and they redesigned him. Now they made a Knuckles series where it's now on the Paramount Plus streaming app. If they had continued and stuck with the original design of Sonic, they would not have this Knuckles series. And they would not have the second Sonic movie. And now the third Sonic movie that's going to be coming out. So this studio actually listened to the fans and look, they're now getting money.
I hope they listened. I love the little like conspiracy theories that are like, oh, well, they already had the good design of Sonic on hand because it turned around so quick. They just wanted to get people talking about it. I love listening to like those comments and those theories. But yeah, no, I mean, even if that were the case, like even if they did put out the bad Sonic and they already had the good design on the back burner ready to go, it still shows that they listened to the fans. They did listen to the comments saying, this is a bad design, fix it. And so that's what, people are doing with Helldivers 2 this weekend with Sony and their reverse decision. Listen to the people who are actually seeing these movies, actually playing these games, actually going and showing up to watch these TV shows. Listen to what the actual viewers are saying, not these made up audiences you think you have.
The modern, the mythical
modern
audience.
Yeah. I'm like, well, I don't care what you call me as. I'm an old fashioned. Give me like, wholesome stories, like cool adventures. Like what was I like Emperor's New Groove because it was about friendship. It was funny. It was quirky. And then it had like an adventure thing to it. Disney can't produce that, produce that anymore. Because I can't remember the last real like animated thing that Disney made where now it's all based on computer animation, because we all know the Lion King's gonna suck, or Mufasa. And then the new Inside Out movie trailer, I'm already calling it. They're making the main girl curious about her identity or her you know, if she's if she likes the V's or the P's. So Disney just doesn't like just catering to this imaginary modern audience. Like, okay, with Riley, the original girl, or the girl in Inside Out, I think they had a huge potential. I would go and see it at the end of the first Inside Out, where she has a crush on this little guy, where they're at the hockey game, and that little boy is like freaking out. A girl's talking to him or talking. Yeah, I would watch that. Like, oh, like a cute little story, like, you know, coming of age, little crushes. But no, Disney wants to ruin everything. And we have to enjoy it.
They can't help themselves. Even beyond the movies, they have hired some of the most activist authors and writers and concept artists. If you read the books, which I had the displeasure of reading a couple from modern Disney era, and I will read no more. They made a Tarkin book, right? Grand Moff Tarkin. If you don't know who that character is, the guy on the Death Star that's telling Leia, we're going to destroy Alderaan, right?
Yeah.
That guy, what more do you need to know about him, honestly? You know he's a Grand Moff. You know that he's ruthless and that he's got this iron grip on the systems, and he's able
to tell Darth Vader what to do too.
Yeah, he's got he's got a spine against Vader. That's all you need to know about the man. But then they make this Death Star book about the crew and the people who live on the Death Star, and they can't just tell normal Star Wars stories in there where they're talking about some, you know, awesome stuff that's going on. It had to be this weird montage that somehow through various scenes cobbles together this understory that Grand Moff Tarkin is gay and has gay lovers. Why? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. But it's like they can't help themselves. They have to find a way to put that agenda into everything. And it cheapens the product. It cheapens the stories. Like, nobody is looking for that in a Star Wars book. They want grand adventure. They want, you know, an epic tale. They want heroes and villains, not some like think piece about some stormtrooper uncovering notes about Tarkin's gay lover. It is insane to me that that's how they decided to handle the property.
Well, I just don't understand why they would want to like create all this stuff. Like, oh, you know what? Like, if we make all this stuff on things that they really like, they're gonna like it. Speaking of that, we didn't ask for this. This is basically cable. I would have stuck with my, you know, dish services, but no. Disney and Max and Hulu bundle plan and major streaming team up.
We're going back to cable, y'all. We're going back.
I know.
We circled so far around that we just came back to where we started.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. Like, I remember because Netflix was like the king of you know, if it first was a rental video online and then it became streaming and everything, and it was the king of streaming. As soon as everybody else and their mothers started to say, hey, maybe we should do our own streaming service, I'm just like, oh, here we go. No. The reason why so many people left cable is because it was so freaking expensive. So people were like, well, I'm jumping off since Netflix pretty much has what I'm looking for. So they signed up with Netflix. Now it's like you're signing up to like 6 or 7 different subscriptions, and it's like this, if you combine the subscription amount, especially with all the tiered services now with like no ads and such, you're basically back to cable. And now look at this, look what's happening. This is almost seeming like a monopoly situation. It's
more than cable at this point. It's more than cable.
Yes,
if you have them all.
Yeah, gotta catch them all.
I know, like, where did I like? Hold on. There's the high seas. If you know what he's talking about, that's how I saw all of Pokemon. When you did that, Mags, I was like, yeah, that's how you did it. Because I'm like, I'm not going to pay for services. And then also, like, I want to see it in order. And there's websites that can provide it in order. And I, like, as it is, I had Hulu. I got it because I like sports. So it came with the ESPN package. And then once the sports was over, it's like, well, I paid for this month and I'm stuck with it because I just paid like what, $60 to even have live for it. And then now I don't have any more. And then they're just doing this to like make it more appealing. You're not going to get me back. I'm sorry.
The only thing I will give credit to these streaming services that still makes them better than cable is there's no contract. There's no contract. You don't have to call into a call center where you have to fight them tooth and nail for 3 months just to cancel. And sometimes you get stuck with like some early termination fee. You don't have to deal with all that. So that they still have going for them for now, but let's see if that lasts.
Well, speaking of it being lasting forever, we see this that just came out not that long ago, where just the failure of Suicide Squad, KTG Killed the Justice League had a 200 million hit to the company's revenue. I wonder why. I'm just gonna, yes, I just don't understand why this would have happened. Like, we didn't see this coming. They didn't listen to the squad, but wasn't it like a couple of like haters, but like people who actually designed this game came out blaming us, the fans?
Yeah, of course. That's how it works. They change what the fans like, and they mock you while they do it. And then when their shit fails and they're unemployed, then they blame you. It's like there's a guy in one of our servers named Nozaku, and he always uses this meme against me. But let me use it against the companies for a moment. It's the meme of the guy on the bicycle driving, putting a stick in his own spokes, tumbling over, and then saying, "Ow, why did you do that to me?" That's essentially what they do. They go in, they mock you, and then when it fails, they blame you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you know, oh, go ahead, Mags. What were you saying?
It's just, I mean, this is not a surprise. I mean, if you even look at like was it Steam or whatever? It's like you'll see the number of live players that are playing in game, and man, I remember seeing, what is it, like maybe a week or two after the fact, so like only so many thousands of players were playing, and it wasn't really a whole lot. I mean, it's just incredible that they still defended this game, and it definitely shows that people were upset. And this is a lesson learned for gaming developers and companies. Hello, guess what? We're not going to be bullied anymore. We're going to speak with our wallets, and we're going to say no to this bull crap. And this is, I mean, it was pandering for one, and it just doesn't help. Just like with a lot of Disney actors and actresses that come out before even a show comes out, like Obi-Wan and everything else, it's like they start talking horribly about the fans. And it's like when people do that, instead of actually taking the criticisms and getting the feedback and actually listening to the fans, listening to understand rather than listening to reply, they might have been able to turn it around, but clearly they wanted to double down. And the fans spoke back. They said, no, we're not taking up with this bullying and this bull crap. And yeah, they lost money. So, it's not shocking.
And what a time to lose that much money right when all the DEI money dries up. I mean, what a shit choice to make. So now you have this huge deficit in your budget, this huge gaping burning hole of money that you don't have because you overcharged everything and made this like blockbuster level video game, and nothing to refill your coffers for the next game, which won't have DEI backing. Sucks. Really sucks to be those poor game developers.
Honestly, I'm not surprised. Everybody knew this was gonna fail miserably.
Well, weigh in on that a little bit more, Sevvy. Like, what's your take on that?
All the press I saw really made this game suck. Like, there was nothing out there that made this game enticing at all. Like, just because you have a name in it, or just because like there was a movie, that happens to have the same name, it's not gonna be a guarantee that we're just gonna purchase your content. And there was just nothing appealing about this game whatsoever. And then immediately thereafter, they started attacking the fans and gamers just left and right. Like there was nothing in it told me, oh, I really should play this game.
Yes.
And they make terrible decisions. There's this thing they like to do in order to get their inclusivity in, where they still want to be able to like rub it in our face and justify their choices. So they dig into these obscure versions of the comics, or in this case, you know, they're talking about a version of Poison Ivy that nobody's read. Those comics sold like shit. They're sitting in dumpster heaps because the comic stores couldn't even sell them. But they use this version of Poison Ivy with the expectation that we're going to understand what they're talking about. And nobody does. So when they put this 14-year-old version giant Poison Ivy, of course people are going to give backlash like, what the fuck is that? And then they like, oh, it's real lore. You must not be a real fan. No, you're not a real fan because you based it on comics that people clearly don't like, because those comics disrespect the original lore that the fans love.
Mm-hmm. Well, because the original lore, like what we love, like, what was it when Spider-Man 2 came out, where they designed Mary Jane as this, I wouldn't even say mid, but this very basic white girl looking, like, okay, Mary Jane in the comics was hot, had, I mean, I'm going to say it, but like big old boobies and everything, and like red head. That's what got the guys going. That's what they're attracted to. But you put your self-assertion in the video games, you're not going to do so hot selling that. I mean,
that's about right. And that's kind of the recipe for stuff they're doing. I know Tabitha said in chat that she thought that the trailer for The Acolyte looked cool or whatever. But I can't help but notice, like, they really went out of their way to pick actors and actresses that are like as nondescript or attractive as possible. Like, I don't know, across the spectrum, male and female, psychologically, in surveys, in marketing tests, we like seeing attractive people on both sides of the spectrum. So I just think it's such a bizarre choice to be like, nope, we are denying you your eye candy because shame on you, males, and then just tanking their own shit for it. I don't get it. It makes no sense.
I just brought up this article as well, but I want to echo on what you just said, Erudi, about, you know, God forbid you like female characters in video games. Like, you shouldn't be liking that. I know Stellar Blade, I got tongue-tied. Stellar Blade came out and it's been a hit. They're making money because of jiggle physics. Like, I don't know, the jiggle physics guys, like, Alyssa Mercantile or Monking, I don't know, whoever the heck that is, like, who has been on that rant, like, oh my gosh, like, you guys, like, this is terrible. Like, this is how you should be playing this game, which is like, what, a teddy bear cover up or something like that? No guy's ever gonna do that. There, what was it? Even in Resident Evil 4, there's mods you can adjust for playing as Ada Wong, and she's like in this little thong bikini because, like, one, guys are gonna be guys. Yeah. I'm sorry, and then yeah, I know, but and then too.
You know, that's what happened to the Tomb Raider game. That's initially why Lara Croft got really big boobs, because the developers did it as a joke, and they put 200% or more than 200% on her boobs, and after that they were like, yeah, we're just gonna leave it in, and it just became a staple.
Again, studies show it's not just men. They blame it on men, but women like to see attractive people too, not just attractive men. They prefer to see attractive women on the screen. It's just like men. This is going to be something that'll get clipped, I'm sure. But men prefer to see attractive men on screen too. Those are the people we emulate, our heroes, right? Those are the characters we aspire to be like. So it makes sense that we would gravitate towards attractive characters on the screen, no matter what. If you're an Arnold Schwarzenegger fan, if you were a fan of Han Solo when you were younger, a lot of that appeal comes to the fact they are classically attractive people, and you aspire to be like them, both in looks, in adventure, and mannerisms. It's a universal thing. And it's just this weird push. And I mean, what a decision to make, knowing that the industry that you're serving is predominantly male. And look, there's more women than ever in video gaming, in tabletop, and all of that. But it is still predominantly male. So to turn around and just like basically tell all the men, fuck you, we want to ruin your good time. Why? Why would you do that to yourself in your industry? I don't get
Yeah.
it.
It's just like what you're saying there, Erudi, about like even men like seeing attractive men. You know, there's that saying of when women want to be with him and men want to be him too. So it's like, you know, there's something to be said about attractive people, regardless, you know, of what your orientation is. People, I like to see individuals that they want to aspire to. People like to have inspiration. People want to have something that's better. At least for me, I can't speak for everybody, but like I like to see people who do heroic deeds, who look great. You know, oh, I see another woman who's, you know, she's got a great body. Of course, I want to look like her. Like I think that's something to aspire to, or something else. So, you know, to take all of that away is dumb. I mean,
Mhm.
it becomes soulless. And I'm sorry, I don't feel like I want to play a character that's it's completely unattractive and is wearing a bag or something. It's just don't do that.
Well, think about it when you were younger. Like, I wasn't allowed to watch Power Rangers, but I know a little bit about it where I'm like, I want to be the Pink Ranger because she's pink and she knows karate moves. And then how Dragon Ball was such a success with young dudes. Like, dang, I really need to hit the gym. I want to be like that. You got to be inspired. No one wants to see a fugly face, a fugly face on a video game. Like, dang. I have a better standard of making myself presentable than this game here.
Well, then there's a whole suspension of disbelief that's really hard to achieve. The most recent Indiana Jones movie, I can't remember what's her fucking name? What's the actress? Bridge. I can't remember her whole name, but she
Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Yeah, Phoebe Waller-Bridge. They go through this whole movie acting like everybody is into her, that she's this really attractive, but like it's not believable. It's not believable. She's offensive, she's rude, she's crude, and she's not nearly as classically attractive as other actresses are. But you're supposed to buy into this somehow. It just makes no sense. Why would men be into this woman who's middlingly attractive, but also treats them like shit? It doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm. No, it doesn't. So I just don't understand why. Like, I wouldn't say. I'm gonna rephrase that. I just don't understand why. I understand why completely. It's called ignorance. They'd rather put themselves, and it's narcissistic as well, where they want to put themselves, self-insert themselves, not care about being profitable for the company or like making good entertainment stuff for people. Like, yeah, that was such a good game. I want to continue more. I want more of the story. No, I'm just gonna put myself there. I'm gonna put my rights, my stance on this, and people are gonna like it. People are not gonna pay for that type of stuff. And then we got here people people are active in the comments and the chat today, and I'm loving it. I'm living to see this. Most men, straight or not, prefer attractive people in video games, men or women. No one wants to play an ugly, gaunt-looking midget. No, we don't.
And nobody wants to argue with themselves. So there's
Well, speaking of like no one wanting to argue with themselves, leftists who say otherwise are just lying.
Yep.
Well, the other thing is sometimes, again, suspension of disbelief is a thing, right? If you're playing a video game and they purposely make the character unattractive or unfit, well, you've got two options. You make the character play like they look, in which case you have to play through an action-adventure game with somebody who gets winded every time they go up a set of stairs, or you see this person who obviously looks like they could not live that kind of lifestyle doing unbelievable things. And either way, you're required to suspend your disbelief for the sake of this ideology. And it just ruins the immersion.
Well, and it destroys the imagination too. I mean, I, as anybody can tell, I'm a Final Fantasy VI fan. So, pretty sure when you look at all those characters and such, there is no way I could ever, I need to have them look like me. But, they all have good, character and, story building and arcs and all that kind of stuff. I don't need to see myself. And there might be some aspects of yourself that you might notice in other characters that you can relate to. There's a difference. But I don't need to see my whole self in a character because I know we're all each individuals and unique in our own way. I don't need to see that me in everything. That's ridiculous. And that's not it's narcissistic too. It's like, this is fantasy. This is like, we're just here for escapism. We're here to have fun. You know, even games that are supposedly have a realism to it, they're still fantasy. They're still fictional stories. So it's kind of like, how, I mean, I'm sorry, in real life, I cannot turn into an Esper. I'm sorry. It just doesn't work like that. So it's just, I mean, I don't need to see realism or realistic things in games. Looking to this for a story, for something else to get my mind into a different world and immerse in it. I don't need to come home from work and escape to what? Reality? Like, that's weird.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
a lot. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
I mean, definitely. I mean, movies like games are a way to escape.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like that, and I think like that's the beauty of it. You get for a moment in time live in a different world, to be a different person.
Mm-hmm.
And
Nobody
your own
wants to
shortcomings.
live. Yeah, and nobody wants to be temporarily in a different reality where you fucking suck.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
like if you suck in, if you suck in real life, well, I don't want to play you in a game.
What was it saying? Okay, that's going to sound really bad the way I was about to follow that up. You can speak to this, Sevs. No, that's not what I mean. But Sevs, you can speak to this too.
Wow.
In the fact of in tabletop, right? The whole combat wheelchair thing. Sorry to derail into tabletop a little bit, but something that they added into, if you're not familiar with D&D, it's a pen and paper game with like maps, and you play fantasy characters, and you do larger than life things, fight dragons, liches, all that sort of thing. So it's supposed to be like you make this bigger, larger than life, like wizard who can cast spells, or this warrior who can go fight hordes of bad guys and orcs, right? And to be inclusive, they added something called a combat wheelchair that like makes it to where you can have like non-working legs, but still be able to function wielding a broadsword just like anybody else. And they even went so far as to take a bad guy's dungeon, right? So they have these books where they make these maps, they call them dungeons, where your characters go in and they go find loot, they fight monsters, they progress a story. But they modified these maps to include wheelchair ramps because obviously the bad guys would be very inclined to make it easier for the wheelchair accessible people to get in and go slay them. Like, that's the level they go to accommodate these ideologies to the point that it's ridiculous. It makes no sense. Why? Why would a villain, all right, who obviously doesn't want you to come stop them, be like, well, I do need to install some ramps instead of stairs just in case those adventurers of wheelchairs want to come kill me. Like, it makes no sense. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Just, I don't know why that would be such a hit. Like, yeah, that'd be so great to see a very, I don't want to say it. No, never mind, because I don't want, it's going to come off as mean. I really don't want to come off as mean. But like, speaking of games and everything, like this came out recently where I'm super stoked on this.
Uh-oh.
Sure, with my machine gun to take down bad guys. I'm gonna pause it because I don't want to get hit with it. But do you know where I'm coming from on this? Like, the fact that you create your own avatar, you can design the way you want to be. Like, Tabitha and I play this game. We're getting back into it, but she's a green character. She's not green in real life, but she wants to be green. She's doing the escapism in this game. We're doing it together, and we're building our little fortresses. And guess what? We didn't build a ramp.
How dare you not build a ramp? Oh my god.
Wow.
That's it. Dames and Dorks getting canceled for not building ramps in Palworld.
You guys heard it right here.
Well, I think that's the thing, though, that these indie games, they're really, you know, they're really coming up in terms of really showing some good competition against these AAA games, or these you know, these bigger industry. This, I call it big gaming. Basically, it's like big government, big gaming. You know, it's AAA. I feel like it can recover maybe in 10 years, but only if they get their crap together. Indie
Yes.
gaming right now is really on fire. Like you
Yeah,
have
it's destroying them.
it,
It's destroying them.
it's destroying them. You have Sea of Stars, you have Pal World, you have Helldivers, you have, I mean, when it was, before the controversy, I'm sure it'll be back in business again. But it's like you have all these other great games that are coming out with either newer or fresher ideas or kind of different concepts. But guess what? They're not berating the customers, and they're giving what the customers want. That's the key. And guess what's happening? And even then, they are communicating with the customers. I see all the time because I follow Pal World on Twitter. They give updates all the time on like patches and everything. And I'm sure other games do that too. But it's like there's quite the difference in customer service. So it's just amazing that these indie games are blowing everything out of the water. And you know what? They're the kings right now. They should wear that crown.
Listen, I want to give a little feedback here. Somebody does need to talk to the developer of Power Worlds.
No.
They know Sevvy plays this game, right? They put a flamethrower in here. They know Sevvy plays this game, right? Bad idea. Sevvy,
But what are you talking about, Erudi? That's Sevvy in the game right now with the flamethrower.
Exactly. It's too late. You can't stop me. Flamethrower is there. But I mean, I agree. There's a lot of really good indie games out there that are amazing. Like Phasmophobia, for example, was an indie game without any backing. It was like two people from like their garage that created Phasmophobia, and then you just have so many really good games out there right now. I know that one of the games that I was playing the other day, I can't remember what it was called. What was the name of it? It was like you're in this town and you're like solving murders and trying to figure out things, and it's just really well made, and it's like you can decide like the size of the city and stuff. And a lot of those games I heard about it from YouTube, like YouTube other gamers that are just going through it, and they're really, and I think like the difference is that those startup companies are really just catering to the fans and listening to the fan, like what the fans really want in terms of gaming.
And Hallwell, you found Hallwell on YouTube, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Oh, there we go. It's called Shadows of Doubt, which is an amazing game as well. And so there's so many really good games out there. They're really well made, and they're really. And I think like the difference is like, one, I mean, they do have talent, but two, they really listen to what the fans are looking for in the game.
Yeah. No, and like Sevvy, because I know like you are a massive gamer, so you like this type of stuff, like independent, like you want to give appreciation to those who actually like have a passion to create good stuff that you're gonna enjoy. And like what you're doing right now, you're doing word of mouth. I never heard of the game that you just said right now, but now I'm interested.
They're so good. I'll send you the names in a separate thing so you can look at it, because they're so fun. And what's insane about Shadows of Doubt is that it's AI, so the game itself learns. So you can see like a minor thief suddenly, like as time progresses, become like a killer, become like a mobster, and then like you track people's lives and things like develop. And the AI of the town learns like based on what you're doing.
That's creepy, but I like that.
It's really good. It's really good. So like I would say like start with a small town, don't do a big city. For sure. It's really good. I really liked it. But that's what is so amazing about those indie games, for sure.
Dr. Rachel, do you have anything to weigh on this?
Honestly, I think y'all said it. Like, I have Pal World. I would love to play it. My computer can't run it because my computer is basically a potato. But it really sucks. It really, really does. If someone wants to get on Meta PCs to send me something, even a cheap piece of crap, still probably better than what I've got. But yeah, I mean, like, I'm just looking through the chat and just how much like games borrow ideas and art and bits of stories from other games, and you really don't hear people complaining about it until a game like Pal World gets as big as it does, and then suddenly, you know, you have a small group of people like, oh, hey, take this down because right-wing people like this game, and so we need to take it down because it's borrowing from other shit. And I hate seeing that. Like, Pal World looks amazing. A lot of these indie games are doing really well, and I hope they continue doing so. Like, this looks fun as hell.
It is fun as hell. So
Yeah, I know.
Like Tabitha and I, so we decided. Now I wouldn't say decided, but we played a few nights ago. And it's just a world that you get lost in. You talk. I was talking to Tabitha for 2 hours, and it was just like random things. It was like political, faith-based, and we were just minding our own business, building our fortress, catching pals, hurting pals, whatever it was, because we got lost in the game. We had enjoyed we enjoyed each other's company. So I think that's what game developers are kind of missing. Of like, we need to unite and make the world better. Why we liked doing games, because growing up in the 90s and 64, I'm going over to my friend's house because I'm going to play, I don't know, Mario Kart with them because it united us. But, you know, everybody's selfish and has to ruin everything. And speaking of being things ruined, I know that Erudi wanted to talk about this, and this is Dungeons and Dragons, gaslighting fans, retcons classic characters. So Erudi, tell us a little bit more about this.
Yeah, I don't know if you have the ability to fast forward the video just a little bit to see the still shot of the cover. Yeah, there it is. That red cover there. So you can see there's that red cover. That's from a classic version of Dungeons and Dragons. All right. So in the original cover, it's very clear what they're going for. This is a very muscular individual from the back view with a sword and shield fighting a dragon. This is back when things like Conan were very popular, long-haired barbarians. All right. They changed the cover and retconned it to say it's a woman. It was obviously a woman, and it's been a woman the whole time. And it's just another example of them going back and changing something to modernize it, and for what purpose, for what reason. They could have just made a new cover. They could have just made a new property with a woman fighting a dragon, but that's not good enough for them. They have to go and change it and then gaslight you when you challenge them by saying, oh, no, it was like that the whole time. And I think it's just positively insane.
Well, so like I'm just kind of like lost on this because I just started doing I did my first tabletop with not you but Sevvy, so I'm not too informed with this. So obviously you're very passionate about this, of like being gaslit on this.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, why what's the point in doing it? What's the point in lying about it? And this isn't the first time. This is just a more recent example. Like there's another game called Warhammer 40K.
Oh yes, I'm aware of that one.
Okay, same thing, right? They're retconning the lore and saying, oh no, they've been there the whole time. And then when you challenge them, they lie and say, no, it's been like that forever. You're just a bigot. And that's the same thing they're doing here, of course. Nobody has ever interpreted that cover as a woman fighting a dragon. It's very clear. Massive calves, manly frame, Conan the Barbarian hair, massive broadsword. It just makes sense with both the era of the time and what's happening in that picture and that person's physique. But now they want to turn around and try to tell you, oh, no. It's been a woman the entire time, bigot. And it's, I don't know. It's just another example in a string of events just like this. So it's, my goal here was to kind of show what we were talking about earlier. It's not just the movie space. It's not just the video game space. It's pervading even now the tabletop space, the card space, anything you can name, they are pulling these shenanigans.
So the shenanigans that what people are doing, just like a self-assertion, correct?
I mean, it's more than self-insertion. They are gender bending it specifically, basically to piss you off. That's the whole point. They want to take the original thing. Like, this is the original thing that's started the whole thing, right? This was when only really men played. It was predominantly men. And over the generations, this audience is built. And then they take this classic thing that you're familiar with, that you love, that you grow up with, the icon of your property. Okay, this is the iconic image of the entire property. Everybody who plays this game knows this image. And then they say, oh, no, that's a woman. And it's been a woman the whole time. How dare you notice that it wasn't a woman? You're a liar and you're a misogynist. Like turning it around on you. And the whole point is just to needle you and insult you, but then attack you for noticing it.
Well, not only that, for like attacking you for noticing it, but it's like also an attack on you for like being ignorant, like you stupid, dumb person, you. But like it's not called for. You just said the facts of like, well, it was never a woman. Well, why did you pay attention to it? Why are you only focusing on that? Well, because it's a staple character.
Yeah, it's the cover of all covers that started this entire thing. And even like you just pulled up an image of the action figure, right? This is an official action figure. It's clearly a dude. They knew it was a dude from the very beginning, but they want to try to turn it around on you and try to erase history and tell you what you saw, what you knew, what you experienced never existed, and you're some sort of bad person for daring to bring it up.
Sevvy, I know you do tabletop as well. Like, what's your thoughts on this?
Well, I just think it's so completely unnecessary. I think they're just trying to do lip service. Because is this the 73 or 76 first book? I'm assuming from Dungeons and Dragons. Correct. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that book was that first style of D&D was really interesting because you could play also any type of monster, but if you wanted, you could be a dragon, you can be an orc, right? It had very different rules, but the biggest thing is like, why do you retcon something? There is no need for it, other than just to try and see, hey, we're just getting with a political agenda that we're being told we have to do. There's really no need to do that for sure.
And who is it for? Sevvy, let me ask you. You've played since what? Early college? You've been playing tabletop?
Mm-hmm.
And you play constantly. You play it like 5 or 6 times a week for years. Mm-hmm. You've got like hundreds, thousands of hours invested in this game, right? When you see this as a woman who plays tabletop, does this empower you? Does this make you happy when they make these changes?
Honestly, I just think it's so not needed. I think that what they're trying to do is they're trying to manipulate the fan base, or they're trying to attract people to D&D that have not done it and say, look, come and check us out because we're this cool, because we're into this propaganda. And it's just not needed whatsoever. And I think they're really missing the mark because it's a horrible marketing strategy. You are turning your back on people that, just like what they did with Warhammer 40K, you're turning your back on the population that have been the repeat customers of D&D, and you're trying to attract other people on a false notion that is just completely irrelevant. I think it just shows they're disingenuous. I mean, like I think it just talks more about what their bottom line is, because I remember I forgot the executive, I think she quit now, but she was talking about how she thought D&D needed to be making more money and they weren't squeezing money enough out of everybody. Yep, the executive from Wizards of the Coast, I'm just spacing on her name. And that was really her big prerogative when she was making the statements on the in front of all the shareholders and in front of their votes. And that's really what this boils down to, is that they're, again, trying to find a way to make money off the fan base and trying to attract people to the fan base. And they just really don't know the way to do it. I think this is a really stupid choice that they're making. I don't think this is going to attract any type of customer base to it. And if anything else, you're just going to alienate your already existing customer base because you're treating them like they're stupid.
Yeah, there's ways they could do something like this that isn't and this is kind of where I'm really driving home on this. This is malicious. This is antagonistic. They're not doing it for the reasons that they claim they are. They are doing it because the people who run it now have some sort of spite or beef with men and want to make men angry. Because you could do something like this, right? You could do something like this, for example, for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Make a special edition version of this cover that maybe has a pink dragon or something with a female warrior fighting it that homages the original cover, and make sure that you mention it's an homage to the original cover. And men would support that sort of thing. They would support that kind of cause, and it would just be a fun ode to the original that has a good cause behind it. Or just make an original cover with a different female fighter fighting a dragon or something that's an original character without having to take that extra step to drive a dagger into the sides of the male fans you have to basically say, fuck you. And I don't know. That's really what I wanted to point out about it. It's just, it's very clear what their intentions are. There's no good intention here or goodwill. They want to hurt the people they perceive to be as problematic from their own experiences or whatever.
Yeah. Now, I guess I have a question for you, Erudi, because you're very passionate of like what you just said, like on all of this, and then Sevvy weighing in. Do you want like females like me? Because I just started doing a tabletop with Moonskull, Sevvy being experienced as she is. Would you want like women to play this character, this muscular character that you described without changing anything? Like, what would you like to see in this?
Make what you want. That's really not the... Obviously, Sevvy plays in a ton of my campaigns, and she makes a wide variety of characters. She's got everything from kind of like a slender, sly elven character that lurks in the shadows and snipes things from afar, to Natalia, who's this really muscular champion paladin person who can beat the shit out of me without even using her sword. She hit my character and did like 5 wounds and almost killed me with just her fist. You can make any kind of character you want, and that's fine. I think you should be encouraged to play what you want. And if you want to play a female character who's muscular, great. But if you also want to play a muscular dude and you're a woman, great. If you want to be a man and play a slender sorceress woman, great. It's about embodying a character and having fun and telling a story. That's what it's about. And that's not what they're doing here. There's no goodwill here. It's not about, I want to force women to play a muscular man Conan guy. That's not, the guy on this cover, just to be clear, isn't like a character from a story. It's not like that's Luke Skywalker, right? That is just a random adventurer that represents the type of thing you could play in the game. Mm-hmm. It's just the fact that they changed it and then lied about it and then tried to make you feel like you're a bad person for noticing it. That's the whole point. Obviously, I tell the story a lot. When I was younger, when I was in high school, it was not cool to play D&D. It's not like it is now with celebrities on TV playing it, and it's this huge, billion-dollar industry. It was kind of, you were shamed for it. This is the kind of stuff you got shoved into lockers and trash cans. Not me, Sevvy, by the way, but some people would get shoved into lockers and trash cans for playing this sort of stuff. And if somebody, Sevvy, listen. If Sevvy had been in my high school and she had walked up to our table and was like, hey guys, can I play this game with you? We all would have like knocked our lunches off the table to give her a seat. All right. That is a beautiful woman wanting to play a game with us was unheard of at that time. So obviously I am totally excited that there are more women in the hobby now. I probably wouldn't even know Sevvy if that wasn't the case. So like it is really cool to see women in this space and the things they add to it. It's just the way they handle it and try to make it this divisive issue that it's not. It's never been a divisive issue. If anybody who was a nerd in that time period growing up, they know how hard it was to find people who wanted to play with you. It doesn't matter what your skin color was. Okay. I don't care if you're brown, white, black, Hispanic, a gypsy. I don't care. The fact that you want to come play the table with me was amazing enough. And that's how it was in the fandom in general. So this new narrative that we're all just a bunch of bigots who want to keep people out of our space is wild to me. It is just, it spits in the face of reality.
Yeah.
I think that for me, just to answer your question, Nomi, okay, first, no, not a wheelchair. I want my characters to be epic. I don't want them to be handicapped. Because like I I think like I want them to be like really overpowered, which I think if Velrock is in chat, he's gonna be like, Sevvy, you don't need to be overpowered all the time. But that's just I'm just a mixed maxer. That's just the type of person that I play. But honestly, I want people to come and play and play a character that they want. I know, like for example, Chrysanth is joining one of Erudi's campaigns, and for the first time, so she has never played before. And my comment to her was like, if you envision your character, what do you envision them doing? How do you want them to act? There is no right way to do it. Like you can either be sneaky, you can do a lot of damage from really far away, or you can be like up in their face, or you can be like have a silver tongue, or like a smooth everything and be completely suave. I mean, there's so many different things that you can do that I think like from what I want from people, male and females are joining role-playing games, because it's not just Dungeons and Dragons, but role-playing games, is for you guys to just have fun. It's a way to escape. It's just find a thing that will give you joy, where you can just unleash your creativity. And let's make that happen. Because there is no right character for you to play. The question is like, who do you want to be?
Yeah. Well, like, if I can put my 2 cents in this as well, because you guys actually, like, Sevvy, you're the one who reached out to me asking if I'd be interested in playing. Well, I think it was Erudi first. It was one of you guys asked if I would be interested in playing a tabletop game with you guys. I'm like, I don't have experience, but yeah, I want to play because I don't know what it's about. I've never been exposed to this before, but it looks fun. I'm going to do it. I had a blast on Monday playing with you guys. Like, it was new. I had to think on my own. I want to kill JT. So I'm going to retract that because this is YouTube. I want to not have JT Savage around.
You want to slap him around a little bit.
I want to. He annoyed me to heck, but I had fun. I don't take it personally what he was doing on that game, but I was like, this is actually a lot of fun. So, like, the fact that you open the world to people who've never been around this, and it's just more of like educating people versus like, hey, I like what you have, but I'm going to change it because I don't like it though. Yeah. Well, you're defeating the purpose of the game.
Yeah. What I really love about it is just that you get to choose who you want to be, and then act it out and just go crazy about it, which is why I have so much fun playing evil characters that do really crazy.
Sometimes the person that you're talking to, Sevvy, likes to play evil people who torture people and cut their fingers off, but to each their own.
Yeah, so it's just part of the fun. It's just a part of like putting your brain aside and just having fun. It's like playing a video game, but you're the one completely in control of everything that you are doing, right? And that's why it's so fun. So like, and I think like you shouldn't just be typecast into you have to play this muscular fighter, right? You don't have to do that. You can be a girl or guy that's very suave, that can cozy up to everybody, talk everybody into doing things. Like for example, there's characters that cannot get less than a 20 in persuasion, right? Or deception. So like that can be your character. You can be that silver tongue type of character, and it's just the most important thing is for you guys to have fun. And I think like what I have a problem with in the Twitter and in the Twitch post that they did was that they're just treating people like they're stupid. It's like you're trying very clearly to send a propaganda message out there that is gaslighting. And why would you think we're really that idiotic and dumb that we're not gonna notice that that's what you're doing?
And who signed off on that thinking it was a good idea? And listen, if you're tired of that sort of thing, all right, let me just tell you, Sevvy and I are working on something to answer this problem. If you don't like having the activism in your tabletop games, I just so happen to be writing my own called Legend Seeker. I know Smu has the link, but if you want to come to our Gilded and potentially support that, we have an Iron Age alternate solution to this stuff that's not going to answer to this activist bullshit, essentially. We're just going to make a game exactly like Sevvy has described, where you make the character you want to play and you just do what you want and have a good time with no judgment. Nobody's going to cancel you, bother you. We're not going to shame you for how you choose to run your game, change the lore because somebody out there cries. It's just a game that lets you play in the world you want to play in the funnest, coolest ways possible.
And I want to bring up like Dr. Rachel because I've hung out with her in real life and I've seen pictures. She cosplays as Battle Bell, like Beauty and the Beast. She is a princess warrior. Like Dr. Rachel, weigh in on that. Like, tell me more about this. Like, where did you get this concept from in the beginning?
You mean Battle Bell or just cosplay in general?
Well, I guess Battle Bell and then cosplaying in general.
Battle Bell, it's going to sound really corny, but it came to me in a dream. I just had this vision in my mind of the shield specifically. That's what I have in the background. When we do outros, I can actually go grab it and I'll show it on camera. But I had this idea for the shield wanting to do the stained glass, which took 4 months to do. It's insane. Then I'm like, well, now I have to make a costume for this and I can't just be the dress. I got to incorporate it into the rest of the character. And when I start designing a character, and this goes for any kind of cosplay, I really have to get into like who they are, how they would make decisions, what sort of period they're in. And so how would I make this armor? How would I fashion it where it's comfortable, that I can walk around a convention for 14 hours, but also like, what this character would probably wear. And so I think it's a lot of the same thing with people making their own characters for video games and creating their own characters for tabletop games, where they just get into this headspace of what they want to be, not what they are now, but what they want to be, what they want to look like, and then getting into the history of that character and the lore of that character and making decisions like that character would, talking like that character would. And that's why I love cosplay. I get to do that. And I love working with my hands. So I love like actually making all the costumes and everything myself. Cosplay was one of those hobbies that I got into I've always loved dressing up, even as a kid, especially for Halloween. But it was really in 2014 when I met a bunch of nerdy friends and they encouraged me to like go to a con. I was Daenerys Targaryen and I made this like paper mache Drogon, which I have right above my head. And he's adorable. And I loved it immediately. It was one of those spaces where I know we talked about this a little bit before, but I felt really welcomed. Like all the nerds sort of pushed everything else aside, be like, yeah, come on, like do this character. Let's talk about Game of Thrones. You're obviously a fan. And it introduced me to so many other people. And it got me so hyped. And then I would go into anime characters, meme characters, movie and television shows. And then with Battle Bell, doing my own sort of made up-ish characters. So it really gets you to meet a lot of people. And it's really welcoming. You're not trying to take away. Like with Battle Bell, I'm not trying to take away for who Bell is. I'm not trying to take away from, that kind of armor or weaponry. It's more of an homage to what I appreciate. And I'm not saying regular Belle no longer exists and you got to get rid of her. This is the new Belle. I'm saying this is my personal version of Belle, and I hope you appreciate it. But also go watch the original 90s, I think it's from the 90s, original animation and enjoy it as much as I did, because that's what made me want to make this character.
I am living to hear all of this because I'll be honest, I was kind of sheltered. Well, I was very sheltered. I wasn't allowed to participate in Halloween. We did trunk or treat because I'm still a Christian, like going to the church. But like as an adult, I'm like, but I still want to go out and do that. I still want to like kind of like live my little nerdy life of me loving Doctor Who before it went to crap. And I went to MegaCon. I was like, I'm gonna be Cruella de Vil because I want to. And I took advantage of it because there was a lot of furries there. I'm like, I'm gonna psych out the furries because I'm Cruella de Vil. I want their fur.
Yep.
And that was fun. Like, even though the whole world does not like furries, but I had fun teasing them and they teased back. That's what it was about, even though I don't necessarily agree with their crazy lifestyle mindset, but like we had fun. It was all in jest. That's what it should be about in this whole culture community that we're all living in. Wouldn't you guys agree to that?
Mm-hmm.
Not all at once, but okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. But I did post a little while ago for ask the panel some questions, and then this one came from Freddie Yankova. Would you play a character in wheelchairs, Erudi?
If it made sense, right? Professor Xavier from X-Men, great example of a good character, but the story makes sense for it, and it's not just to play a character in a wheelchair. It had a narrative purpose, and it was a good one. So yeah, sure, I would if it made sense.
Okay, I mean, if it's if anything logical, and if it was available, like, if you want to use your imagination, because that's how tabletop is anyway. Using your imagination. If your wheelchair can go off road. Can it, go off terrains or anything? Just think about it. But the next question that we have is, out of curiosity, why has Marvel not brought back Secret Wars tabletop game made with TSR?
Disney owns it. I mean, that's the simplest answer. So
that's another one. And I know we talked about this backstage before we went live, and I don't really understand what this means. You tried explaining it to me, but I still don't understand it. Bear or man?
Jesus Christ, man.
Oh no!
Let's let Sevvy answer this question. What would Sevvy if you were? Oh wait, no. I think Sevvy. I don't know if Sevvy thinks the same thing.
That's the answer. So in Baldur's Gate 3, if you guys don't know, there is a druid NPC that can be in your camp, and you can romance the druid. And if you romance the druid, when you guys have sex, I guess he turns into a bear. FYI.
Wow. So that's not actually what this was referencing, Sevs, but thank you for throwing me under the bus for that.
Well, I thought that's what. No.
No. So let me ask you a question, Sevvy. This is something that's been going around on the internet. If you had to choose, right, you have to go out into the woods and you've got to spend, we'll say, a night in the woods alone, except in the woods with you can either be a man or a bear. Which one would you rather be stuck with?
No one.
That's not the question.
That's my answer.
Well, the discourse on the internet is that women at large would prefer to be trapped with a bear than a man because men are too dangerous to be with in the woods as a collective.
If they're that dangerous, then why are they in women's bathrooms?
Yeah! Dang! I love that.
Yeah. Enough said, I think, to be honest with you.
But you're not wrong, Dr. Rachel.
You can't have it both
wrong.
ways. Pick one.
True.
But I want to go in with my wheelchair. Dr. Rachel.
No, it's obviously it's a really crazy argument. Obviously, women are around men day in and day out. Statistically, you probably pass by, or within proximity of a man in the numbers of anywhere from hundreds to 200s of men in a day, right? In a city, in a town, wherever you are. And the vast majority of that time, nothing bad happens to you. I guarantee you, if you switch that around and found yourself in the proximity of 100 to 200 bears every single day, you might have a different resolution.
Well, see, I work in a blue collar industry, which means like majority men, and so far I've come back home unscathed, so I'm pretty good.
A lot of guys out there are pretty normal, and they're pretty easy to talk to, and they're pretty chill. I mean, there's weird people out there, and I say people because there's weird women and there's weird men. out there
Yeah,
that
yeah.
will just give you the creeps. So it depends on the man, I'd say, that you have to get stuck with.
I mean, hold on. Like, this is what's kind of making me scared in all of this, because Sevvy said something that's kind of interesting, and I am scared. What the heck is this?
These
I
are
don't know.
the people that are asking this question, by the way.
Of course.
Oh, hold on. I want to.
I don't know. I'm afraid of being in the woods with any of these types of woods.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to be around her.
I don't think
Does
the
that count?
I don't think the
It's
bear
just
wants to be around them either.
Yeah, exactly. And look, the thing is, people have this fantasy idea of things like nature. Oh, statistically, okay, listen, when a bear kills you, nature doesn't care. Nature doesn't care. The bear isn't putting you out of your misery, by the way. If the bear does decide to kill you, it's eating you alive. You're going to come in and out of consciousness as it's feasting on your body and tearing the flesh from your bones. That is how nature is. And these people are so insane that they're like, oh, I would prefer that than being alone with any man, because men are just that evil, inherently dangerous.
Erudi's mom says,
God
she's
damn it, Erudi's mom, get out of here.
Mom's gonna set you up.
Don't even mention that. Do not mention that.
Well,
late.
if that's the case, Erudi, I will take one for the team, and I'll save you from that barnyard explosion right there. I will not let that happen. But I actually really want to. I want to see this. I want to hear this. Like,
would you rather be stuck in a forest with a man or a bear?
Bear. Man is scary. With a bear. What I've heard about bears, they don't always attack you, right? Unless you like fuck with them. So maybe a bear.
Depends what man, but probably a bear.
Oh, 100% a bear, which is like terrifying to say, but
Definitely a bear. Some men are very scary out there.
A bear.
I would say a man.
Wow. There's a smart one at least.
One
in the group.
One normal person. Let's go.
Well, that was a general question to ask us at the chat. I would choose man. I would choose man to hang out with.
I would choose man.
Yes. Just because like men are stronger than me. Men actually
They can
have
fix
more
stuff?
skills. Yes, they can fix stuff. They have skills.
They can go hunting and get food while I sit at home and do nothing and paint my nails. This is awesome.
That's
Yeah.
it. That's Sevvy. If it was me and Sevvy trapped in the woods, it's exactly how that would go. I'd be out fucking stringing up rabbits while she's like, "Did you get the rabbit yet?"
I like this one for men and one bear in the panel.
Yep.
Because it is 2024. So I do know that you guys do have a tabletop game, and I didn't mean to like steal your time. And thank you so much for being patient with us. We'll end it here, guys. Thank you so much to the chat for hanging out with us. I'm going to cut it short because I don't want our special guests here to be late on their own stream that they have going on right now. But before we end it, Erudi, do you have anything to plug besides this tabletop game that you're about to join right now? Oh, you can share that, by the way. You can totally say whatever.
Yeah, go check us out on Geeks and Gamers Tabletop or on Moonskull. One is obviously our tabletop channel that we do with Geeks and Gamers, cover everything tabletop there. The other is Sevvy and I's co-owned channel that covers the paranormal, the sci-fi, the unexplained, that sort of thing. We do everything horror over there, as well as some horror and sci-fi themed tabletop. So either one of those channels would be great to follow, and please consider going to our support to our Guilded, where you can talk to all of us and just hang out if you want. But also you can support the game that I'm making, Legend Seeker, if you'd like to see an Iron Age alternative to the games out there that have kind of got this woke rot pervading them.
Yes, and Sevvy, what do you got going on, girl?
I would just say, please go and subscribe to Geeks and Gamers Tabletop on Moonskull if you have not already. When I'm usually not there, I am streaming in my private Kick and Twitch, which is Sevvy Love, so Sevvy_LUV. And check out my Twitter and my Instagram. I'm trying to get to 6,000 in my Instagram, so hopefully that'll happen soon. Yay! We'll see. Fingers crossed. And thank you guys for having us. This was really fun.
Dude, thank you so much for hanging out with us again. I guess I'll go ahead and say this right now. When we have our 36th episode of Dames and Dorks. Erudi will be our special guest on that episode.
Let's go.
I had to do the 36 reference somewhere, Erudi, on this stream. I had to.
I knew it was coming. I knew.
But Dr. Rachel, what do you have going on?
I'll make it quick because I know Erudi and Sevvy have to jump out. But just follow my Twitter. I post everything there. Check out my channel, Adeline Crafting, if you like art stuff. And I will be on Side Scrollers this Monday at noon. So
nice.
tune in where we talk a lot about what's happening in gaming over there.
Nice. I love that. Mags, what do you have going on?
Oh, let's see here. Probably there's always something coming up, sometimes something last minute, of course, but you can usually catch me when I'm there. So make sure you catch me on Toxic Femininity on Midnight's Edge, 8 p.m. Eastern time. As far as everything else, I will definitely let everybody know. If you follow me on Twitter, I usually send out the updates of where I will be at on there. So catch me there, but definitely make sure you also follow me on, Kick and Twitch, because I am looking at doing some gaming scheduling. So make sure you keep an eye on that. And later sometime this month, the real Star Wars Day, May the 25th, me and one of my good friends, I don't know if anybody knows him, but Paps, he has a channel around here. He and I will be collaborating to do a Star Wars stream. So be on the lookout for that one in commemoration of real Star Wars Day.
Nice. Well, can't wait because yes, that is the real Star Wars Day versus May the 4th and Revenge of the 5th. As for me, everyone, you can catch me on Twix at Nomiwithoutyou and my YouTube channel, which you are here right now at Nomiwithoutyou. You can catch me playing games on Kick. I'm still trying to figure out how to do my streaming setup because my mic always has issues. You can also catch me on Midnight's Edge Espanol. I'm going to make more content for them. And you can catch me on Mondays with Moonskull playing Call of Cthulhu with Sevvy. So it's going to be a blast. Thank you again to my my panelists here, Erudi, Sevvy. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. To the chat, thank you so much for being on fire. And Smu the DJ for being the greatest mod that we've had here. I won't prolong this any longer because I know our guests got to get going. But thank you, everyone. And I hope y'all have a good night. Y'all take care now. Bye.
Good night, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.
Everybody.